Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Kevin and this is the Wrenchin' Fool. So in this video I'd like to introduce you to this, my brand new, well new to me, 2004 Mazda 6. Now, this is not any Mazda 6. This used to belong to someone that I know. I purchased it from them when they decided they were no longer going to keep it. They've got a newer car now that fits better with their current lifestyle. And this was just going to be a spare. It was just going to sit around. So they decided to sell it. And the history that I have with this car, I decided that I needed to have it. So this car does have a special spot in my heart. I've been around working on this car, experiencing this car since it was brand new. The previous owner bought this car brand new right off the lot, 2004, August of 2004 if I remember right. They paid, I think, in the low 20s for it, 21, 22, something like that. I've still got the window sticker, just not here with me. It was their first brand new car. It was only the second car they'd ever owned at that point in time. And when they bought this car, I was very envious of it. I'm not sure if they know that. Maybe I shouldn't say it out loud, but I was definitely envious of this car when they bought it. We were both Mazda fans at the time. We both still like Mazdas, even though now they no longer own one, and this is the only one that I own. But the car that I had at the time was a 96 Ford Probe GT, which if you know anything about Ford and Mazda at that point in time, the Ford Probe was actually a shared chassis, much like this is between Ford and Mazda. The Probe shared the chassis with the Mazda MX-6 and the Mazda 626. Chassis, suspension, at least suspension design, all of the drivetrain, it was all shared between those cars. And it's the same thing with this car. This is originally a Ford of Europe design. It was the European Ford Mondeo. In fact, this particular car, with the way that it's with the drivetrain spec that it has, is very, very similar, if not the same, to the Mondeo ST220 of the time. So, which, as I understand, is kind of a popular car among people of my age in Europe. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, this was a design that was shared with Ford of Europe. They later brought it over to the US in 2006, I think, as the Ford Fusion. Although, in my opinion, the Fusion never really had the same sort of design language or whatever, the same sort of design spec as this did. This was more of a driver's car. The Fusion was more of a rental car. So anyway, let's go into the specifics of this car and let's see what it's got. You might be able to see it's not stock. So let's go over what it's got and what makes it special. So let's see, what makes this car special? Well, first of all, the wheels it's got on it, you'll notice those are not stock wheels. The stock wheels are just a basic 5-spoke design, and they're also 17 inches. These are 18-inch wheels, and these are actually off a Mazda Speed 3, a 2007. And I know that because they came off of my Mazda Speed 3 that I bought brand new in 2007. I was never a fan of the wheels on that car, but I think that they look really good on here. And the person that owned this car previously, when I took the wheels off of my Mazda Speed 3, they asked to purchase these from me. So that's where those are from, and as far as I know, they have not been replaced. One thing I really like about this car, not specific to this car, but just sort of design in general, this has sort of a early 2000s sport sedan, just a classic look to it in my opinion. It's a design that I really, really like. I like sport sedans in general from this era. To me, this has a lot of the same design elements as my 98 Subaru Legacy GT, with like the ground effects and the rear spoiler and everything. And then this looks very, very similar to my 2006 Legacy GT. Both cars which I really like the design of. So, it's got the Mazda Speed 3 wheels on it, obviously. You can see that there's definitely some wear and tear on this car. This was this previous owner's daily driver from new, and it was a family transporter for the past 10 years or so. So it has 164,000 miles on it, I think. It's used every day, and maybe not taken care of the best, especially later on in its life when the previous owner ran into some financial hard times. So other modifications on this car, it does have a few. You may notice that it's sitting a little bit lower than stock. It does have TN or teen, however you decide to spell it, basic dampers and adjustable coilovers, which were available back when this car was fairly new. I'm not sure if they're available anymore. And you may be able to just make out that it doesn't have stock exhaust on it either. That is a full catback system from MagnaFlow. Again, something that was available when this is new. I'm sure it's not available anymore. I think everybody sort of thought that the Mazda 6 was going to take off a little bit more as far as the enthusiast community was concerned, but I don't think it ever really did, which is unfortunate. Well, let's take a look under the hood. We can see some of the other performance items under there. So here's the view under the hood. Obviously a little bit dirty under here, but overall it's in decent shape. We'll do a little bit more of an inspection on it later to see what does need to be done. It does need some stuff. It just needs some work, for sure. Something that, if you're a fan of Mazda's, you'll probably recognize this. Custom Performance Engineering, also known as CPE. It's a company that's very popular amongst like Mazda Speed 6, Mazda Speed 3 owners. I think they've branched out into other brands as well. I think they do a lot of work with turbocharged, factory turbocharged engines. So I think they've gotten big into Ford with the EcoBoost engines, so trucks and Mustangs and probably the Focus RS as well. They also do work with BMWs, but this is sort of where where some of their earlier products were. Is they made parts for Mazdas, including the Mazda 6. This also has, you can't see it from the top, but you'll be able to see it from the underneath. When we're doing the inspection on it, it has a solid rubber rear engine mount, or a roll restrictor, which is sort of a go-to performance item for Mazdas in general, have that roll restrictor there. It's also got aftermarket HIDs on it, although they don't work very well anymore. They're pretty old, they need to be replaced, and you can see the wiring's a little bit torn up and not installed very well in the first place. But I think that's pretty much it for performance modifications. It never really had too much performance stuff put on it. Oh, and one more thing for that cold air intake I will mention that made it a bit different from the other ones that were available at the time. CPE has a piggyback system that's installed with where the engine computer is at, which is up under the firewall, sort of about there if you were inside the car. And it has a piggyback system on it that basically adjusts for the larger diameter of the tubing here, because this is a lot larger than stock. And because the mass airflow sensor bolts into there and it doesn't have its own housing, the difference in diameter would throw off the readings from this sensor. So what they did was they put a piggyback system on there to intercept the signals from the mass airflow sensor and modify them a specified amount so that it compensates for this larger pipe. So you can get the benefit of the increased flow without it throwing off your fuel trims, causing check engine light, running problems, issues. So we'll take a quick look inside the car. It's a little bit worn out, as I said, because this is a 15, 16-year-old car and it was used every day for the time that the previous owner had it. So we can see things like the floor mat's a little bit torn up. When they bought the car, it came with all-weather floor mats, and those are still new in the package. I just need to throw them in there. But you can also see the driver's seat's got some wear on it. The other seats look fine, including in the back seat. They look fine back there. Just, of course, you know, the typical driver's seat wear. Also the steering wheel. You can see it's pretty well worn out. But I mean, overall, this is a great car. It's going to need some work. We're going to find out the scope of the amount of work that it needs in the next video when we do an inspection on it. And I can assure you it's going to need a lot. But, you know, I think this is a great car. And I think that once all the work is done, it's going to be an amazing car. It's not going to ever be a super fast car. It's not going to be super impressive or super valuable. But it's just a good car to drive. And it's going to be perfect for what I want to use it for. So that's it for this video, just a quick one to introduce you to my new car here. I'm really excited to get to work on it. As I said, it's going to need a lot of work, but that's part of the fun, right? You buy them cheap, fix them up into what you want it to be, and then really enjoy getting out there and driving them. And a plus side for all of us is that you're going to come along for the journey. So if you liked this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos about this car, other cars that I've got, other work here in the shop, be sure to hit the subscribe button down there below. And then if you want to get notified when I post up a new video, hit the bell down there so you can get a notification whenever something new happens. If you have any questions about this car or questions about anything else in general about my channel, just write in the comment section down there below. I try my best to answer all of the questions and comments that come up. Other than that, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.